Welcome back to the 5-Star Life Show. I'm your host, Coach Seth. I'm joined in studio with Coach Mia, who's joined us via Zoom.
Hey, I don't know where that came from.
It's just part of your dynamic personality. Hey, that'd be a great. So, we're talking about personality, our personal reality, and we're challenging kids who have record-breaking anxiety and depression and social anxiety. We're trying to teach kids that they can develop their personality, that it's not fixed. So if there are parts of their personality that they don't like, look at those areas, identify them, and then start to make changes. And we're specifically talking about this whole idea of how do you create connection and how are you with people. And the key is in really truly showing respect and respecting and honoring the people around you. And the key to that is really understanding, like, the most interesting person in the room is the most interested. And when we can get our eyes off of ourselves onto others, that's what creates connection. And I remember I was probably 19, and I remember meeting this guy who was, and this is all through church, and he was interviewing for this position. I was interning at a church. I was doing an internship with youth ministry, and they were hiring a new youth pastor. And so this guy came in and super dynamic, super high energy, and he met with all the interns, and I met him, and he was great. He was fun. He was funny. And then what happened was the next week came, and there was like maybe 3 or 4 interns, so not a big group. And he didn't remember my name. And not the end of the world, because, they just met. He had a lot on his mind. But then, so we reintroduced ourselves. And then the next week he came back, and he still didn't remember my name. And then the next week, he couldn't remember my name. And I was like, this guy, it wasn't just his not remember my name. It was like whenever he spoke to me, it was like he was just trying to get past me to get to the next thing. Because so he would never stop to remember. And I noticed he was doing that with other people. And it was like, this dude wanted to come, and he wanted to make sure he was speaking. He wanted to be great up front, in front of people. Then it was with people. He wanted to be the center of attention. He wanted to make people laugh. But there was no interaction with others. And I was watching this just like a fly on the wall. And I'm like, that is something, I hope I don't do that. I don't want to be the guy that comes in and is just all the noise in the center of attention and then leaves, but doesn't connect because he's so focused on his image or on how he comes across. He's not interested in the people. In the people, not interested in the people. That was cringy to me. And I think we've all met some people that they're dynamic, they're great at first, but then you're like, I always look at those people and I'm like, they have no substance. When it's not true. They have a lot of substance. They have a lot to offer. They're just not interested.
There's also those people that are talking to you and they're looking past you, or constantly scanning the room, and you're like, hello, I'm right here.
Yes. So, one of the great personality shaping characteristics I want to adopt, and I try to adopt, is being that interested person. So there's those people that we all know, that we've met. Hopefully we have a friend like this, that whenever you're with them, it's like you're the only person in the world. And that makes us feel so special. We love that person and we think that person's amazing, even if they're not an amazing person, just because they're interested. Isn't it crazy how we judge people? We judge how smart they are. I mean, people who like us and are interested in us, they are smart, they're wise, they're all these things just because they're interested. Because our really at our core, what we greatly need is to be loved and accepted.
I think so much of that too is shaped when you're a child. A lot of we laugh about it, but being the baby, you're like, gosh, by the time, out of 5 of us, my mom was exhausted. So I got the least of her. So as a parent, gosh, you're running, but it's a hard thing, but you have to be that, person and be interested in there and not, because our kids, they're rambling about something, but there are times that you're just like, you know what, I need to listen, and give them my, full attention. And I think my grandkids have been great at that because they demand my attention. Like they will take your face and it's like, Mimi, listen.
That is good. And usually with kids, younger kids, it's usually like a moment. It's not like it's not like they want to stay there just perched, just talking your ear off for a long time. It's usually like they'll stay there until they're heard. And so the quicker we can give them our attention, the more they'll receive the love and what they are trying to get from us. And I think people are the same way. And so this is just one of those personality shaping tweaks that if we can just learn to be in that moment and be interested, and interested people, when you're talking, they ask questions, right? They ask follow-up questions like, what do you mean by that? Explain that to me. And I mean, just really simple, open-ended questions that draws more of it out because they really want to know. And if we really don't want to know, that's just revealing that that's part of our issue, our personality defect. If we don't want to know something about people in our lives, then we probably have a high emphasis on self. And we probably respect ourselves a lot, our own time, our own agendas, our own passions, just listening, not really listening, but really just buying time until I can talk. So while the other person's talking, I'm not really being a great listener to absorb, to learn more. I'm just thinking about how it relates to me and I'm getting ready to interject, right? How frustrating is that when you're around people like that they never ever say, oh, wow, that's crazy. How did that happen? They just say, oh, wow, when I was this age, I had this, and this, and they always make it about them. It is so off-putting, isn't it?
It is. And too, that so much of that is just based out of fear. And I think as I got older, you'd be in a group of people and you'd be trying to, like, somebody would say something like, oh yeah, you know what? I'd love to share this. And then that moment passes and you're like, oh, dang. So the whole time, all you're thinking about is like, where can I fit in this group that I don't really feel comfortable with? And I've missed the whole conversation.
So yeah, I think we've all done that. I've done that so many times. The thing that I've learned to do is because as I started to transition my personality to say, okay, why do I feel pressure to interject in this conversation, to not be left out? Like I have to say something good. I started to shift it to, if I can focus on them, what question can I ask that will draw a little more out? That'll be interesting. And so then it's just learning how to ask that, well, how did that work? And so you said this, and I'll repeat back what they said. That shows that I'm connecting and I'm listening. And then how did this work? And I always try to, I think there's some, doing what I do with kids and being a total geek and loving human interaction, human personalities, and the scientific part of it. I'm trying to take the conversation in a way that is going to be beneficial for everybody to learn something. So I want to get to the depths of like, well, why do you do this? And how'd you feel when that happened? Like, how did it feel? How did it work? That's the fun part for me. And I think then the conversation gets deeper instead of just on the surface level. I hope that you as the listening audience have enjoyed this. And I would just ask you to do one thing. Would you consider sharing this either on social media or with people in your world? We're trying to help people. We're trying to give them something to think about. And we're trying to change the face of education, of sports and culture. This is a great time of year to be thinking about bringing this to a community or a school group near you and making sure kids have access to what we do at 5 Star Life. You can go to 5starlife.org to learn more. And thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you next week.